Alrighty, thought I'd just show you a quick little gluing of a seam when I work with acrylic. I have this piece already marked with a couple of tiny marks that will come off. The ink I used does not stay on the acrylic. I have a piece here that's already been edged and rounded over and has the blue film. I'm going to pull that off. Before I glue a seam, I clean the edge. And then I make sure that it's going to fit against my jig properly, which it looks like it'll be just fine. Get it nice and straight on my marks. When I use the glue, the marks just kind of vanish. Sorta, kinda. The glue is very watery. So I'm gonna, still use my acupuncture needles to lift it up slightly. You want that tiny gap underneath before you glue, so that way the solvent can wick in there and leave a tiny gap. And then after about 15 seconds, I pull the pins. So you can clamp your material if you like. This is a small enough project, clamps aren't needed. So I'm just going to let this sit. And let the solvent weld the two parts together. One of the solvents that is sold on the market is called weld-on. There's number 3 and number 4 that would both work for extruded or cast acrylic. Pull the pin, pull the other pin, and then that's it, it's done. Now, if this piece of acrylic was a little bit bowed, I'd put a clamp in the middle to hold it, or if it was bowed the other direction, which would be just as much a problem, you can put a clamp at each end. This piece was nice and straight, so it wasn't a factor at all. The other side will get a piece as well, but I can't touch this for a little bit because it would just slide around. And this is how I get my bubble-free seams, because I spend a lot of time making sure my edges are perfect before I combine them. We'll go ahead and do the other side. What I'm making is a skimmer stand. The skimmer will sit on top of this stand, and it will set at the proper depth so that way the skimmer doesn't overflow sitting in too much water. Sometimes I'll put a little bit of weight on the jig so it doesn't wiggle at all. But again, this is such a little project, it's just not necessary. After something glues, it needs to cure before it can be used in salt water, or before I can even ship it. So oftentimes something like this will have to cure for 24 hours before I'll put it in a box and ship it. With the temperatures being around 100 degrees, you can actually have parts give way during shipping because it's just baking inside the box. So instead I'll let it sit, cure, I'll polish the edges, then I'll pack it, label it, and send it to my customer. This piece is ready. So this whole thing is basically ready for curing. This is another one that I've already done. So 2 customers' orders will ship tomorrow. So here are 2 skimmer stands that are going to cure for about 24 hours. They're different sizes because I build them custom to what the customer needs to fit their sump, to fit the correct water depth, and that's why they're not just a stock item from my shop.